What would you do if you woke up at 3:11 a.m., not to a burglar, not to a storm, but to your dog crying at the end of a dark hallway? You call its name. No answer. The whimpering continues. So you get out of bed, walk slowly. No lights. And when you reach the end of that hallway, there's nothing there. No dog. Just the sound. Still echoing. Like it's coming from inside the walls. That was 2 years ago. The family no longer lives in that house. They moved out after they found out. The dog had been dead for 4 months before the sound returned. The incident took place in early autumn 2021 in a quiet, pine-covered neighborhood just outside Spokane, Washington. The Harper family had been living there since the previous year, a modest 3-bedroom home with a long, narrow hallway stretching from the bedrooms to the living room. They were an ordinary family: husband, wife, a 7-year-old daughter named Lila, and Charlie, their golden retriever, adopted when Lila was a toddler. Charlie was getting older, slower. His walks got shorter. By early August, he stopped sleeping in Lila's room and preferred the floor near the hallway vent, where it was cool. Then came September. Charlie passed away peacefully on a Wednesday morning. No illness, no drama, just old age. The family buried him in the backyard, beneath the apple tree. Lila cried herself to sleep for nights afterward, and for a while, things were quiet. Until October 9th, just after 3 a.m., when Mrs. Harper sat up in bed, confused and disoriented, because she swore she could hear whimpering. Soft, low-pitched, familiar, coming from the hallway. She didn't wake her husband. She walked out quietly. There was no one there. She checked on Lila, sound asleep, then looked down the hallway. Empty. No wind, no pets, no open windows. But the sound, that exact, unmistakable whimper Charlie made when he had trouble standing up, it was still there. The next morning, Mrs. Harper dismissed it. A dream, a trick of memory, grief, maybe. Until her daughter said over breakfast, "Mom, Charlie cried again last night." That made her freeze. "What do you mean, sweetie?" "I heard him. I didn't get up because I thought you already did." Mr. Harper, skeptical but concerned, installed a motion sensor light at the end of the hallway. Not because he believed the dog was back, but because, as he said, some things need closure, even if they're small. The hallway light remained off for a week. Then, on the 7th night, it triggered at 3:13 a.m. When Mr. Harper checked the indoor security footage, there was no one there. No person, no animal, just the light flickering on. And then something else. As the camera's microphone picked up ambient noise, you could barely, just barely, hear it. A short, fragile whimper, followed by what sounded like scratching on hardwood. Exactly the sound Charlie used to make when trying to stand up too fast. The sound lasted less than 4 seconds. No footsteps followed. That night, they reviewed Charlie's old vet footage, a video of him recovering after a leg injury from 2018. When they compared the two audio files, the waveforms matched: tone, duration, frequency. Three days after the hallway light triggered again, same time, 3:12 to 3:14 a.m., Mr. Harper decided to check something else. He reviewed footage from the baby monitor that still sat in Lila's room. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the camera caught her sitting up in bed, eyes wide open. She wasn't talking. She wasn't crying. She was whispering. When they enhanced the audio, Lila could be heard saying softly, "It's okay, Charlie. You can come back in." The Harpers hadn't told her about the hallway footage, hadn't shown her the motion light, and Lila had never seen the video of Charlie's recovery from years ago. When asked, she said, "He's sad. He doesn't know where to go. He stands by the vent." And then, something else. He's not alone anymore. That part chilled them. Not just the idea that something was with the dog, but the implication that it might be inside the house now. That night, they set up all 4 indoor cameras to record non-stop. And at 3:13 a.m., once again, the hallway light turned on. But this time, there was movement. A dark shadow, low to the ground, but clearly in motion, crawled from the corner vent toward Lila's room. Not walking, not floating, crawling. It didn't enter the room, but it paused right at the door for 4 seconds, then slowly receded back toward the hallway. The footage corrupted 5 seconds after that. When they tried to export the file, the laptop crashed. Only one file could be recovered. Its name had changed automatically, even though no one touched it. It was titled Charlie with guest.move. What exactly did the camera see? What kind of guest was with Charlie? And more importantly, why was it always at 3:13 a.m.? Not midnight, not 3 o'clock, always 3:13. Was it just coincidence? The Harpers began writing everything down. Dates, times, room temperatures. They even mapped out where the shadow moved in each clip. A pattern emerged. Every time Lila whispered Charlie's name in her sleep, the motion light would trigger within the next minute. But Lila swore she wasn't dreaming. He comes to the door, but he doesn't come in unless she lets him. She paused. Not Charlie, the one behind him. The family had never mentioned another him. Who or what was she talking about? They asked her again, gently. He looks like a man, but he walks like a dog. His arms are too long, and when Charlie turns around to leave, that thing doesn't follow him. It stays. By now, they were sleeping with the hallway light on. Every door stayed locked, every mirror covered, and still. At 3:13, the motion light turned on again. Only this time, there was a click from the closet near the vent, a latch that hadn't been touched in months. The next morning, the closet door was open. Inside, an old dog collar, but not Charlie's. It was leather, stiff, frayed. The tag had one word on it, barely readable under corrosion. Stay. They had never seen it before, and no one could explain how it got there. 2 weeks later, the Harpers moved out. Not because they were afraid of Charlie, but because whatever was following him had stopped staying in the hallway. The motion light began triggering from inside Lila's room, but only for a moment, just long enough for the room temperature to drop, just long enough for the baby monitor to glitch. The last night they spent in the house, Lila was already asleep. Mrs. Harper went to check the closet one final time. Inside, resting at the bottom, was the leather collar again. This time, the tag no longer read, "Stay." It now said, "Listen." The collar was warm to the touch. They left that night. When new tenants moved in, they never knew about the dog. But 5 months later, a review appeared on the local property website. Strange noises around 3 a.m., almost like an animal, but it echoes, like it's stuck in the walls. My son says he hears footsteps in the hallway. We don't have pets. The listing was quietly pulled offline. No explanation, no updates. Some echoes aren't just sounds, they're signs of something that didn't leave when it should have, of something that was never meant to follow us home. So if your dog ever stops at the end of a hallway, stares at nothing, and whimpers, ask yourself, is it grief or is it warning? Because sometimes what our pets see is not for us to understand. It's for us to fear. If this story left you thinking twice about that sound in the night, you're not alone. There are stories like this, unexplained, unspoken, and unfinished, hidden everywhere. Subscribe if you want to keep peeling back the layers. Leave a comment. What do you think the tag meant when it changed from stay to listen? And remember, some visitors don't need a door to get in. They just need someone to notice.